Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. I'd like to start this session by appreciating you so much for making this channel grow. If you wish to support us, just subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. The National Dialogue Committee underscored the need to bring to an end the events surrounding the 2022 presidential polls, as well as addressing historical injustices. So among those who made presentations yesterday was the ELOG, which added its voice to the growing calls for comprehensive audit of the electoral process regardless of whether the outcome was disputed or not. This audit should include activities carried out way before the election date, like party nomination. And according to him, such an audit should not just cover the presidential election, but the entire election. Kenya holds 6 simultaneous elections every 5 years, but the presidential race remains the most contested. So just like I said, ELOG was among the civil group society that filed petitions challenging the outcome of the presidential elections 2017 and 2022. Its petition was among those that the Supreme Court upheld in 2017, leading to the nullification of the first presidential election. However, ELOG was among the parties that lost when the court upheld the outcome of 2022 presidential election. So on Monday, Interreligious Council of Kenya called for establishment of an independent multi-sectoral task force to audit the 2022 electoral process. According to the council, such an audit would identify loopholes and weaknesses in the electoral process and help in addressing the causes of perennial election disputes after presidential polls. I think you now understand that ELOG is one of those civil society groups that petitioned the outcome of 2017, which was successful, and petitioned the outcome of 2022, which was not successful, according to what the Supreme Court delivered. So let me remind you that ELOG has simply echoed what Raila has been fighting for: a comprehensive audit of the electoral process. It is important for that to be done because, according to ELOG says that the outcome should not worry the Kenya Kwanza people, or should not even worry the Azimio people. But the Azimio people are not worried because that is what they want. So the only people who are worried about this comprehensive audit is the faction led by William Samoei Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua. They are the team that is not interested in this audit. In fact, if anything, they would wish that that item be removed from the agendas which have been agreed upon by the National Dialogues Technical Committee. So that's why in the previous analysis I shared something about what the governor of Embu, Cecil Mbarire, said, where she questioned why it was necessary to do it, and she even went on extent of saying that does the law allow that kind of auditing? But you see, a comprehensive audit is allowed. That's why you find that IEBC are always told to retain those records for at least 3 years. So within these 3 years, any dispute that arises should be addressed. So this dispute has to be addressed. So I also sense something. If the IEBC are allowed to be with the records for at least 3 years, what happens after 3 years? Does it mean that after 3 years, this record are erased? If the records will be erased after 3 years, then what does that mean? So if the records will be erased after the third year, that means now the audit, even if it's done, then people will not be able to ascertain what happened. But again, there is something I seem to not understand here, because these people don't understand that there is what needs to be audited is the other server that SMARTMATEC refused to allow access to. What these people plan to audit and how they are fronting it is the server that is residing at the, I think, the Bomas or the IEBC or headquarters, but that's not the one that Azimio want to be audited. I think the best thing to find this process, if it's the issue of identifying the process, just like ELOG is saying, because ELOG are talking about this audit to extend to before the election until, you see, that is pre-election and the post-election time. So that means if it's pre-election, that means now the ballot acquisition and the like, nomination, they're saying that even the nomination part, then the post-election now is after the election date, what happened thereafter, those kind of interferences and the like. So those ones are supposed to be taken into consideration. So what ELOG is talking about, if I may interpret it in my own words, is that what they say, that this audit should include activities carried out way before the election date, like party nominations. ELOG also talks about we need to always conduct a comprehensive audit after elections. I think this is supposed to be something that is continuous. It's not only because Raila has called for that audit. If you can recall what I always say here in this channel about the need to always audit the process, a system process, it is always good to audit it so that you can understand whether the process flow is still as initially defined. So in this ELOG call, and I agree with ELOG because this is the most important thing to do for this country. An election that is done na ati hakuna audit kama vile Gachagua anasema, that what kind of election will that be? I think to save people the time, this audit should be entrenched in the electoral process, and it should come before the conclusion of the Supreme Court decision. That will be the best thing for the country. So, but if at all this audit, according to if the Kimani Ichung'wah and Kalonzo Musyoka led team settles for an audit that is done once the Supreme Court has confirmed the results or reaffirmed the IEBC position, then that kind of audit will not help. The kind of audit that Azimio want is an audit that's done before the Supreme Court makes conclusion, because now that report that will come out of that audit is the one that will guide the Supreme Court in how they make their determination or in how they make a decision. So what we are saying here is that ELOG's call is agreeable, and I think the team of Kimani Ichung'wah should factor into these considerations. I think Kenya Kwanza people are finding themselves in a very awkward position because they are the people who have been refusing to allow this all audit. But now if you look at all the stakeholders, who are lined up for submissions of ideas, all of them are calling for an extensive audit. I don't know whether this will also be like what happened with the Finance Act. You remember during the public participation, because what you are facing here with the National Dialogue Committee is akin to public participation. So the public is being engaged in this whole issue to talk about what they think, But this time around, there are selected groups, but it's just like the public participation. Also, there were selected groups. So we term this whole process just like public participation. So this process also, those interested parties, or rather we can say the stakeholders, all of them have echoed the need for the dialogue committee to abide by Raila Amolo Odinga's call. And Raila said, server itafunguliwa. And from what I see, honestly, server itafunguliwa. So the only challenge is whether SMARTMATEC will allow the audit of the system process flow. I mean, you can audit the nominations, yes, of the IEBC nominations. You can audit ballot accusations and the like. But if you don't audit that server, the server, not only the server that holds these records, the documents, but the server that received them. If you don't audit that, then there will still be a problem. So there is still a face-off between the National Dialogue Committee and SMARTMATEC, because they will recommend that this be allowed. So IEBC will have to push SMARTMATEC for that server to be audited. SMARTMATEC are likely to decline, just like they declined when the Supreme Court requested them via a written letter. They declined and talked about what I mentioned previously about copyright infringement. So if they use that also in this, then utapata kwamba hii process haitafaulu. You can't audit every other thing and don't audit that very, very important part. That is the engine. That is what needs to be audited. And when that has been audited, then I think the result that will come from that auditing itapatia Azimio One Kenya Alliance chance ya kusema kwamba haya yalishafanyika, maji yalishamwagika, lakini knowing what happened. Maji yalimwagika, but how? Maji yalimwagikaje? So that is what must be established. And the National Dialogue Committee, if they're serious about this, then you realize that all the things, all the ideas that have been fronted there are revolving around the need to do an extensive server audit. Actually, an extensive electoral audit, both manual and the system. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to rest my case there, but until you catch up again, please just take a moment and give us your comment there. Remark what you think about this call by ELOG, call by parties, political parties, liaison committee also, and the Muslims team. To those people who have not subscribed to this channel, I'd like to kindly encourage you to go below the comment section, take 1 second, and please just hit the subscribe button and you'll be subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to give this video a like and don't forget to share our videos. To those people who have supported this channel, I want to tell you here that I'm forever grateful for your support, because without you, this channel could not have been where it is right now. So until you catch up again, please stay safe and stay blessed.